The Front National in France has recorded a triumph in local elections, eliciting cheers of delight from nationalists across Europe. Traynor, writing for The Guardian, says the continent needs to beware, for this is no passing phase, but rather a dangerous trend. Here on the Press Review, we'll look at what he has to say. He begins like this. In a year bracketed in France by the Charlie Hebdo and Bataclan terrorist atrocities, Le Pen has benefited from the national mood of fear and anger and the craving for security. But her triumph is no flash in the pan to be ascribed to jihadism. Regardless of how her party fares in the second round of voting this coming Sunday, Le Pen is here to stay. Traynor does, however, make clear that far-right parties like Le Pen's, though they are enjoying some popularity, are unlikely to gain power. But they do have significant influence on national and even supranational politics. He writes, they enjoy pluralities but find it impossible to assemble governing majorities. But even if they are not tested in office, the far-right parties are shaping policy-making and setting the agenda across much of Europe. Traynor tells us that in Eastern Europe the story is somewhat different. The nationalist right is already in power in many countries, including Hungary and Poland. They are hard to distinguish from governments supposedly of the left, such as the one in Slovakia or the Czech Republic. What's more, the far right in the East has much in common with its Western European counterpart. What these far-right parties in East and West all share are chipped shoulders, heaving with grievance, summed up as hostility to and rejection of globalization and multiculturalism. They do not like modern life. They are anti-Muslim, anti-immigration, anti-EU, anti-American, Poland accepted, illiberal, and they like Russian President Vladimir Putin. Traynor tells us that in the face of such far-right politics, Germany stands more or less alone in opposition. A far-right takeover there, he says, is inconceivable, as is the thought of an anti-EU party winning office. But he worries that such a situation may not last. All hopes are on German Chancellor Angela Merkel. He writes, whether she likes it or not, and by and large she does not, it falls to Chancellor Angela Merkel to anchor Europe and to contrive some form of shelter from a storm blowing on several fronts at the same time. It is a tall order. The European Union has never looked so temporary and fragile. Ultimately then, our commentator today appears to have a rather pessimistic outlook. Only Germany can save the EU from imploding, but appears to be facing an uphill battle. In the face of anti-immigrant, anti-EU parties such as those which have already risen to power in Eastern Europe, Angela Merkel is our main hope if we wish to maintain the system as it is now. Our Guardian columnist Traynor certainly seems to want that. Across the continent, many, it would seem, have other ideas. That's all we have time for today. Join us again tomorrow for another Press Review. In Kiev, this is Ukraine Today.